Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Poor Man's Gold channel. And this is sort of going to be a response video to the Bionic FishyFish, everybody's BFF. He put out a challenge to do a video, a response video on what is your silver stacking guilty pleasure. And he put a community post out. Hey, congratulations, Fish, on community posts. You're killing them. You're killing it on them. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Wants to know what people's guilty pleasures are in silver stacking. So I voted in the community post, and then I left a comment saying that vintage bars are my guilty pleasure. And then I realized it's not just vintage bars, it's also vintage rounds. Anything vintage I feel is super cool. This I would say is my coolest vintage piece. This is an EPM 10-ounce bar. It's really an awesome bar, and it's early 82 from a company out somewhere near Hershey, Pennsylvania. So it's pretty local to me. It's a short-lived company, EPM, and they put out silver products for a short period in the early 80s. And I'm digging this bar. I love this bar. This is definitely my favorite vintage bar. But like I said, you're not limited now to vintage bars. Son of a bitch. Anyway, vintage rounds. These vintage rounds are freaking totally awesome. This one's from 87, so that makes it about 35 years old, I'd say. You got that Liberty Bell on the back there. And I'm over in Allentown. This is an A-Mark piece. I'm over in Allentown, and the Liberty Bell was stored in Allentown while it was being moved to somewhere else. I forget exactly where, but the bottom line is the actual Liberty Bell was right in my neighborhood back in the day. So totally awesome. And you can't beat the vintage stuff to me. I mean, nothing else beats it. The new pieces are nice, you know what I mean? You got the government minted stuff, but you can't beat these pieces, man. These prospector rounds, totally awesome. This is what my channel sticker is based on. I got an 86 here. I got an 86 and 85. For some reason, I got a bunch of 82s. Yeah, man, they're awesome. You gotta love the Big E on these things, and you can't beat these vintage prospector rounds. Vintage Engelhard, you can't beat them. You know what I mean? This Indian head penny style round has great toning on it, nice light toning. I don't know what year this is from, but you can just tell that this thing is vintage. You know what I mean? Just by the look of it and the toning, the patina on it. It's just an awesome piece. You don't see these every day. The Assay Office, 1981, I think. Yep, 1981. USA Assay Office. Hey, man, 81. You're talking 40 friggin' years ago. You know what I mean? And I was lucky enough to pick up some Johnson Matthey, 11 to be exact. Johnson Matthey 1-ounce bars, all serialized. And they're just awesome pieces. So in my video here, all I'm trying to say is I got to convince Fish that vintage silver is badass. That's the bottom line. So I think I've stated my case here. Vintage silver, every time I get it in my hand, every time I get a piece of vintage silver, I just feel like, not like guilty, but it's my guilty pleasure. I feel like, you know what, man, I just got a nice vintage piece here, and it makes me feel good. You know what I mean? The bottom line is, vintage silver, man, no matter what the form and bars or rounds, I think are super cool. And every time I get my hands on one, every time I get one in my grubby little hands, bottom line is I feel good. And That's that. So I guess that, really does equal a guilty pleasure, man. When you get something and it makes you feel, very weird and strange in a good way, then you don't know what it is. So, Fish, this is my submission to convince you that vintage silver is awesome. I don't think anybody can, really argue with that. But anyway, I'll let you go here. We're 5.5 minutes in, so keep stacking the vintage. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. Fuck me. For, for whatever fish reason, what the fuck is doing pretty good. What the fuck am I? And what the fuck am I talking about? It's also limited to vintage. Man, this fuck. It's like a fucking. It's like a nightmare.